Hello, hello, and welcome to a new episode of Ramblings from Two Meddling Kids. I'm Edward Hunt, joined by my fellow Marvel,
Mike Cunningham.
and we are the Meddling Kids. And today we'll be reviewing The Marvels. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. It's good to have you here. We like to review movies. For those who have come back, you're number one. But yeah, so we will never spoil anything in the first, let's call it 10 minutes of this podcast. We're going to give a spoiler-free rating from 0 to 5 of the movie we saw. Then we'll give you some background. Then we'll get into play-by-play and start really kind of diving into what we liked or didn't like about the movie. But that will have some spoilers. But don't worry, nothing yet. Mike, 0 to 5, you ready?
Yeah, I'm gonna give this one a 2.5. I
Okay.
realized I liked it a little bit better than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I don't. I'm really hoping that all the negativity leading up to the release won't really deter people from seeing it, because like I said, I did enjoy it. I think some of the fight scenes are really cool. Some of the visuals were good. I think the only issue with my problem with the visuals in this one was when they were glowing or something like that. It didn't really
Mhm.
seem really good, but for the most part, a lot of the other CGI, seemed to work fairly well. I liked. I mean, I've always liked what's her name, Brie Larson as an actress. I think a lot of people thought she was miscast as this character, but I think she's kind of found her way in this one. Less stoic, if you will, and kind of finding more emotion in her performance. Tiana Paris was cool. I think I didn't necessarily like Iman Vellani,
Mhm.
just the character, because I think her energy was kind of off with the rest of the team. But I can see how a lot of people are kind of seeing her as a shining star, a rising star in Hollywood. Um, but yeah, I think it was like I said. I think this wasn't as bad as a lot of people were gonna pointing it out to be. Um, but I mean, there were flaws, right? But like I said, I enjoyed the fight choreography for a lot of it, especially because of the whole dynamic of the switching or whatever, constantly switching to different locations and continuing the fight. I thought that was really cool. Um, and I think, yeah, my dislikes were, I think it was a weaker villain, but Marvel has often had those issues outside of the broader Avengers stories with one-off villains, because it's how strong can they really be without adding in other Avengers to help. I think some of the emotional beats were more manufactured than natural, which can be a bit annoying if you're really trying to make those things hit.
Mhm.
Yeah, but all in all, I'll give it a 2.5. Like I said, I didn't hate it, but I didn't think I was gonna go in hating it. I just, I'm trying to do better with kind of going in with a unbiased. Let's see what they do versus coming in with all this hatred or wanting it to fail. So 2.5 for me.
Yeah. Nice. No, yeah, man, I think you hit the nail right on the head there. I'm also going to give it, 2.5. And I completely agree on, there were some really cool fight scenes that left me with oh, that was awesome. Kamala Khan being able to slide around and do some of those action scenes were really
Mhm.
cool. And yeah, seeing how it was just the swap, swap, swap was awesome. But I will say what really, I think there was some really cool scenes, and then there were scenes that were I don't care about this scene as much, or I just didn't like as much. And then the movie as a whole felt just a little jumbled and a little kind of all over the place. I do agree.
Mhm.
Actually, well, fun fact: I haven't seen the first Captain Marvel movie, so there wasn't too much of a learning curve for me, which I
I don't know
appreciate.
what's fun about that. You didn't do your homework, whatever.
Well, fun fact: homework's for the loser. No,
I feel like people never understand what a fun fact is, but it's whatever. Keep it moving.
well, you have to remember any fact that I say is inherently fun. That's what I'm going with. But
To whom?
me, me, duh, what? But yeah, so I hadn't seen the first Captain Marvel, but there wasn't too much of a learning curve for
Yeah,
watching
no.
everything else, which was good. So I appreciate that, because the movie opened and I was like, I had no idea what's going on, but then I was like, oh, cool, I get it now. All right, sounds good.
Which is interesting because that's most films, right? You come in really. I mean, unless you've seen a trailer, if you've had background, but it was most films you do come in blind,
Yeah.
and that's why it's all the information you're giving me is because of the fact that I didn't have this previous.
Mhm.
So it gets annoying when I'm coming in blind to a story. You're telling me things, and then like you're contradicting yourself in that same vein. Because now I don't know what to believe. I don't
Yeah.
know where to be.
No, I agree. And that's something like that Marvel has become intimidating about because I'm just like, how much of all the other Marvel stuff do I really need to watch to understand what the hell's going on here? But even with all of that, yeah. So like, I also agree. Kamala Khan as a character, there was parts where she was a little more annoying, and they were
Mhm.
definitely trying to play that up. But like, dude, how many times do I have to hear that
That's what
scream?
I said. Literally, the first 45 minutes of her acting was just
Mhm.
screaming. I was like, "Who are you,
Yeah,
Kevin Hart? What are we doing?"
yeah, and like that scream got annoying at
Yeah,
times for
it got
sure.
annoying in the trailer. So it was
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
what I think. You know what is interesting because like that's how the same way I felt about her performance like in that first 45 minutes is how I felt about the MCU's version of Peter Parker and
mm,
his initial movies like Homecoming and like I think
mhm,
was it Civil War, and it was just like I didn't like the younger version of the character because of the fact that it was that like maybe fish out of water, like the energy was very much like I mean, which was nice because of the fact that so often in these films you'll get a human being experiencing an alien and be like, "Oh, that's cool," but it's like,
mhm,
it's, it's something
fair.
you should have never seen before. So like Peter Parker's like meeting the different superheroes and like stuff like that. He had a very genuine reaction to it, but it was also like, Jesus Christ, grow up. That's why I like the later Peter's like when he's had some adversity in his life
Yeah.
and he doesn't act as young.
Yeah. I mean, you can make the argument, I guess, that like, it's to have that younger energy because I do agree. Like they've never lived this life, so they're like excited to be here because
Mm,
they're happy to be superheroes and hanging out with legends. But yeah, it can be a little like, all right, let's kind of speed this up a little bit
mm,
on you being annoying. But no, I mean, as a whole, I mean, I agree with you in that, I had lower expectations for this film walking in. I walked in with a pretty open mind, but I was like, we'll see. And I was like,
mm,
oh no, it's entertaining movie. There's some good fight scenes. There's some good stuff happening in it. Storyline was a little jumbled, I suppose. And I agree with the villain. I was like, well, I will say with the villain, I'm like, how did she put up a fight? I was just like, how are you even remotely putting up a fight against these three women? That makes no sense to me. You should be getting your ass beat.
mm,
And no. But yeah, so 2.5 for me. I honestly do think, if you need to watch well, not need, but if you want to watch a pretty entertaining superhero movie in theaters, this is a decent one to see. Have there been better ones? For sure. But as a whole, I was like, all right, cool. I enjoyed it more than I thought. So 2.5.
mm. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a 2.5 from both Mike and I. So, support your local theater, darn it. Get out there. Go watch it. Let's get some background on this. Mike, you gave me some actors before, but for the podcast, because they need to know, who's in this movie again?
All right, so just to start, The Marvels came out on November 10th, 2023. Runtime is an hour and 45 minutes. The budget was 275 million. As of right now, we don't know. It's still early Sunday, but as of right now, it says that the box office for this weekend is at 21 million. So, god
Oh,
damn,
oh,
which is interesting because like the last time I checked, I think they said it made like 6 million on Thursday because this
mhm.
is I guess a holiday weekend or whatever. But so we'll see how it does like I said, it's early Sunday, so we'll see how those numbers fare out at the end of the weekend. Rotten Tomatoes right now it's at a 62 for critics
Okay.
and 85 for audience, which has gone up because I think initially it was about like a 54 for critics before I think they right before the movie released.
Mhm.
They let the critics review it and it was at like a 54, so it's gone up
Yeah.
with more reviews, but we'll see. The genre is action, adventure, fantasy, directed by Nia DaCosta, who had formerly done the Candyman reboot in 2021.
Oh.
She directed Little Woods, which I think the Tessa Thompson movie early on, and she's doing another Tessa Thompson movie after this one,
Mhm.
and then an episode of Top Boy. I'm not. Yeah,
Top.
I feel like that sounds familiar,
Yeah.
like a Netflix series or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so the cast is Brie Larson as Carol Danvers / Captain Marvel, Tiana Paris as Monica Rambeau, Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan or Miss Marvel, Samuel Jackson as Nick Fury, Zawe Ashton as Dar-Benn, that's the villain,
the baddie.
Uh, Park Seo-joon as Prince Yan from the Aldan.
Yeah, he's a really big Korean
Aladdin.
actor. If
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I think
'cause-
this is his first. Oh, I meant to say. So this is Aman Vellani's first feature film.
hmm,
Obviously, I think she got her. I don't know if the first show was the Miss Marvel show on Disney Plus, but this
hmm,
is her first feature film. And I think the same thing with him. He made his first like American
gotcha.
release. And then the tagline I have is higher, further, faster, together. Because I think higher, further, faster was the original for the
Mhm.
original movie, and something that they said in the first Captain Marvel.
Gotcha. Okay, so that that makes a lot of sense. There was a Miss Marvel show. Okay, fair. Yeah, because when I first saw Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan's character, I was like, I have no idea who this person is. I
Yeah,
have had
I
no.
think they try, and obviously we'll get into it when we actually do spoilers. But it was just like they tried to give you a glimpse of what was happening in that show with her introduction with like
Yeah.
the um the cartoon part, and I thought that was kind of
Mhm.
cool. It,
Yeah.
it gave you kind of like a bit of what that show was like without having to fully go into it.
Yeah, they did that introduction, and I was like, "All right, cool. Thank God they're doing this
And
introduction."
I think it was one of those things too for somebody who went in blind. You were like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, I appreciate it because I was like, "All right, cool. So you're a character. Got you. All right, I'm
You're a
getting it.
character. Now we know.
I'm in a oh crap, I'm in a movie. Oh God. All right, how'd I get here? Normal things." All right, cool. So thank you for the background, Mike. Yeah. So before we get into our start play by play, talking a little bit more, we like to dislike the movie and spoilers. A quick word from our sponsors. Hey, what's going on? I'm Edward Hunt. I'm a member of the Just Be team of Compass. We are a real estate team that's all about finding where you're meant to be. So if you would like advice on the market, but even more than that, if you need a phenomenal handyman or contractor, we have some great connections. If you need a lender to figure out what's going on with these interest rates, or you need to refi or get a HELOC, we have some great connections for you there too. So if in the DMV for all of your real estate needs, feel free to reach out and we can help. A great thing about Compass as well is we are a nationwide brokerage. So no matter where you are in the United States, I can find you an agent and an expert in your market. And hey, you'll be ready to make whatever decision makes sense for you and your family. Also, I'm a comic book writer. Hunt.comics is my Instagram handle. Global Comics, Evil is a Weapon. The first issue's up there. It's gotten a lot of positive reviews so far. I'd love for you to check it out. All right. Let's get started. So how does this movie open up, right? So it's Marvel. So, that's a whole big comic brand, so there's a
Mhm.
lot of superheroes going on in Marvel, right?
Got it. Yeah. So it starts with our antagonist, Darben. She arrives on this. I don't know if it's a planet or like a moon or something, but like, and she discover like they're drilling for something, and they discover a quantum bracelet in
Mhm.
like this in this tomb. I don't know. It was very interesting. It reminded me of Blue Beetle, which a lot of this movie reminded me of Blue Beetle, and even the beginning
Yeah, a
was
little
like
bit.
with the discovery of the MacGuffin or whatever.
They were on a moon instead of the Arctic. It's very different. All
Yeah.
right.
But yeah, so yes, Darben and her followers discover a quantum bracelet. Darben is the new leader of the Kree after the fall of the Supreme Intelligence.
Mhm.
And so yeah, so we noticed that she has a quantum bracelet, like she's found a quantum bracelet, and people who watch Miss Marvel know that Kamala Khan has a quantum bracelet as well from her grandmother. And that's kind of how she got her power. So then I think we jump to Kamala Khan, and we get her introduction in the movie, and like she's sitting at her desk, drawing like basically just drawing comics. Cause she's a huge Captain Marvel fan. Like like she wants them to be best friends. She wants to be able to help her, fight um, uh, villains,
Yeah.
in the world, and like for them to just be, twinsies or whatever she said, something like that. But we get
Yeah.
this introduction to her and her obsession with Captain Marvel. That's why she even got her name is derivative of Captain Marvel. And then I think we jump to after we meet Kamala, we jump to Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, and she is like laying on a bed with a device on her head, which is like scanning her memories. And this is something we saw in the first Captain Marvel with like them trying to interrogate her
Mhm.
to find out which like they captured her and they're trying to figure out what she knows. So they're using this device to scan her memories. And so that was used as a torture device, but Carol's using it because when the Kree found her a long time ago, they wiped her memories. So she doesn't know who she is. So she spent that movie trying to figure out like kind of go on fact-finding mission of who she was. And in this movie, we see her still, after all these years, still trying to scan her memories to figure out.
For those that haven't watched all the Marvel stuff, that was the reason why she didn't make it for all the Endgame stuff, or she came late, right? Because like she didn't have her memories really, or
No. So that was more plot convenient. So like, remember in the beginning of Endgame, Jesus Christ, I hate sounding like a nerd. It's annoying. In the beginning of Endgame, she rescues Tony and Nebula from the middle of space. So she's there.
Yeah.
And then she goes with them to find Thanos. They chop his head smooth off.
Yep.
And then, but they realize that they're too late. The Infinity Stones are gone. So like she goes out into the world to try to help other planets deal with the blip or whatever. So she's just somewhere in the cosmos for the 5 years. And then like when they finally snap everybody back, that's when she arrives back again to help fight them.
Yeah, so that was so that was Endgame, but she
was
wasn't
Endgame. Yes.
Yeah, but so Infinity War. Sorry, Infinity War. She wasn't. Why wasn't she in? Like technically, didn't they have like a retcon reason why she wasn't there?
No. So in Infinity War, remember she so in the in Captain Marvel, she gave, being that she was like a cosmic fighter, she gave Nick Fury a little beeper because it was the 90s.
Yep.
As one does.
Yeah.
These some of our millennial fans and Gen Z will know what that is. But she gave him a beeper and said, if there's a big problem, use this to call me. And now that was the retcon for why she wasn't when Loki first came, or Ultron or something like that. It was like, when there's a big problem, use this to call me. So at the end of Infinity War, right as he's getting dusted away, he hits the button to call her. So that's why she shows up finally.
Gotcha. Yeah, because it wasn't big enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, yeah, so she's scanning her memories. She gets a call, like, so we see like flashes of her in the first movie, even prior, before she like, so when she got her powers, when she got captured by the Kree, working with the Kree, and then flashes of her destroying the Supreme Intelligence, and then a brief glimpse of Dar-Benn. So like we know that, like, we kind of see where the story's gonna go. Like she had something to do with Dar-Benn's mission. That's why like Dar-Benn's working against her. She gets a call from Nick Fury to investigate these, I guess, an anomaly in the jump points or something like that. So that's how Nick Fury's on the Saber station, I believe. Or something like that. Out in space. Yeah. Out in space, and he's and they use jump points to jump through different points in the galaxy, whatever. And then they notice that there's like an anomaly with one, so he has Carol check it out, and also Maria Rambeau, who's a sword agent. It was back and forth with the sword. I don't know this shit.
For like the beginning of this movie, I was like, "Yep." I was just like, "Don't worry about it." I was like,
just so much absorbing of information. It was like, I really hope this is going to be on the final.
Yeah, all right. I'm like, all right, just tell me what I need to know right now, and I'm just, have fun with it. Don't think about it too hard. Just have fun with it.
But yeah, so Carol is on the same planet that Dar-Benn found the bracelet, and she recognizes the anomaly. And then Monica Rambeau is outside of the Saber station, and like some of her friends talk to her to go like check out, being that she has the powers from WandaVision. That's how she got her powers. So she goes. Jesus Christ, that was such a yes.
I was like, I remember WandaVision. I saw some of it for sure, definitely. I was like, that's right. That's how. Because I was like, how the hell did she get her powers? Why do I know who she is? WandaVision. There we go.
Yeah. So she floats to one of the anomalies out in space because she had her powers allow her to do that. So simultaneously, Carol is also about to touch the anomaly, and this is what pissed me off. I think it does it a lot, just in films in general. How are you a scientist and this dumb? What are we doing? Did we not learn from aliens? Stop touching glowy shit.
Sir, that is basic scientific method. If I do this, what'll happen? And there's only one way to test it.
I get that portion, right? The inquisitiveness of just science. But it was just like, and then especially with Monica Rambeau, the reason you got your powers is you kept touching shit. Relax.
So she hasn't learned her lesson, and that's okay. All right.
She's a damn scientist. This is the best of us. What are you doing? I was so mad. I was like, I didn't want to be the black dude in the theater yelling at the screen, like, my man, what you doing?
You know better than this.
But anyway, so Monica touches the anomaly. out in space. Carol touches it on the whatever moon she was on,
Mm-hmm.
and then at the same time we see the bracelet that Kamala has is lighting up as well.
Yeah.
And as they all interact with this anomaly, they switch places.
Mm-hmm.
So we get Kamala switches places with Monica, so she's out in space now. Bree switches with Kamala, so she's at her house, and Monica goes to the planet that Dar-Benn was on.
Yeah.
And then they kind of like, I think right before any, I think fighting happens, they switch back or something like that.
I think there's like a couple different switches that kind of
Yeah,
happen.
but they switch back, and now they realize like something's weird.
Yeah.
So what happened? Sorry, real quick. So Carol, because she was like, "What's Dar-Benn up to?" So like she goes to find Dar-Benn, and I think she's on the Tarnax or something like that, doing peace talks with because there's this ongoing war between the Kree and the. I got you. Give me a second. Give me a second.
Okay.
I see because I see the wheels turn. I got. Just give me a second. So like Carol goes to Tarnax because the Kree are there. It's a Kree Skrull peace talks going on.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, Nick Fury and Monica Rambeau go to Kamala's house because he recognized her because she's the one that switched with Monica. So they go to her to try to figure out what the hell happened because they have a dossier on Kamala, but that's not like what is it? Transporting or whatever or teleporting is not under her skill set or a list of powers that they at least that they know of. So they're trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then Monica goes on about uh, you know, uh, she has these light powers. Kamala is able to transfer light into like actual physical matter, and then Captain Marvel is able to absorb light or whatever, something like that. So she theorizes that their powers are entangled somehow, and then Kamala goes to show off her power, and because she used it, she switches with Carol, who's out. Excuse me, who's on one of the Kree ships trying to investigate, what Dar-Benn is doing. Excuse me. So this is where we get the scene from the trailer where like Miss Marvel, Kamala sees the cat Goose or whatever, which is who is a flirt. It looks like a cat, but it's like really an alien.
Yes. Yeah.
And the cat like tentacles pop out of his mouth, and he grabs like two of the guards or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "What the fuck?" This is where she's screaming, which makes sense. Like you're on an alien planet. Like,
you just saw a cat, which you thought was a cat, eat things, and you're like, "What the hell is just happening right here?"
Yeah. So before she can do any fighting or whatever, she grabs Goose and is switched between I think Monica. She switched back with Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So Captain Marvel is fighting on the ship or whatever, and now Goose, who ate two of the guards, spits them up. So now the guards are trying to fight at the Kamala Khan's house.
Yeah.
So this is where you get like the multiple settings of different fighting. Actually, weren't they fighting on the?
The sabers. I think it was because when the teleportation powers kind of like were a little odd of like what counts as.
And I think that's what was frustrating at some point. It was cool until like it got convenient for the plot. So then they were just switching because it was initially said that whenever they used their powers, they switched, but then they were using their powers during the fighting and they weren't switching. So it was just like make up your mind. And this is what we're talking about. It was just like I'm coming in as a blank slate with your movie. So like you're literally creating this universe as we go.
Yeah.
Now you've already set this rule in motion and you're already breaking it because it doesn't fit to the narrative.
Exactly, because it seemed like only if they use their powers at the exact same time would they.
Yeah, they tried to do that too.
Yeah, it was only like again. This was So if they both, I guess I'm just going to call it, glow their fists at the same time, then they switch. But if one glows their fist and one glows their fist right after, they won't actually switch. But then if they grab people or they're holding people, they get transported too or something, because that's how people got to the Saber Station. So it's like, when do people get transported? When do people not get transported? And then you're just like, just have fun with it, because it was.
So I was like, regardless of, I think this was the first fight scene. It was like 3 places. So it was like at the Kamala Khan's house, on Tarnax with Captain Marvel, and then on the Saber station. I think they were taking the elevator down or something like that. That's what it was.
Yeah, something, I think. But so this was a cool fight scene.
It was like really cool because it was like all 3 of them in different situations, and they're just literally adapting as the switch happens.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. And then we get one thing that's, I guess, important to the plot later is like, Captain Marvel arrives at Kamala Khan's house. Like
Hmm.
she switches to Kamala Khan's house, and one of the guys goes to attack her, and he calls her the Annihilator.
Yeah.
And she goes, "I don't like that name." And it like you constantly hear the Kree calling her the Annihilator, and we'll
Hmm.
find out as to it's because of the fact that she was the one that destroyed the Supreme Intelligence,
Yeah.
which which meant there was a civil unrest within the Kree Empire where everybody was trying to rise up and take over.
Hmm.
The atmosphere was because of the civil war, like the atmosphere was broken. There was major droughts. The
Yeah.
sun died. Like all these different things happened after the Supreme Intelligence was destroyed.
Yeah. So there was a civil war on the Kree planet, though, right?
Yeah,
So they technically did it to themselves.
yeah, but
So yeah, she took out the Supreme Intelligence, but then after the fact, the people then did everything to themselves.
it's called transferred. All right, so you did this, I did this.
Yeah.
Therefore, Your Honor, I didn't do this.
It's like that meme from the Eric Andre show when he like shoots the guy on the couch, and he's just like, "Why would you do that?" You know?
But yeah, so this was like you said, this was a really cool fight scene between the
Yeah.
three the places. At one point too, you do see when Kamala switches with Carol, and Carol's in Kamala Khan's house
Hmm.
with she sees Nick Fury and Monica, and there's
Yeah.
like kind of this weird interaction because they haven't seen each other
Hmm.
since the '90s or
Yeah.
whatever, since the first Captain Marvel movie, or the end of the first Captain Marvel movie. So it is this
So
kind
that
of
was like
weird.
in 2000 something, not the 90s.
That was 1995.
No, no, the first Captain Marvel movie was like 2020. What
No,
was
it was 1995, the year.
it?
As somebody who did not do their homework, I need to calm it
No, no,
down
no.
on you.
But the movie came out in 20.
Yeah, 2018. Shut up.
Yeah, exactly. I don't.
But yeah, so there is this interesting interaction between them because they haven't seen each other in
Mhm.
years. And what's her name? Monica was also blipped away for 5 years as well.
Yeah, make things a little
And
hard.
so and so after all it settles, we get the Nick Fury and his team are able to wrap up the aliens in at the Kamala Khan house. It is fully destroyed.
Yeah.
Um, then we jump back to I guess Tarnax or whatever,
Hmm.
and we get the peace talks between the Kree and the Skrull, because the Skrulls have been basically refugees this whole time during the war. Like they just keep trying to find places to house themselves, and they're kind of scattered to the cosmos because they don't have a home planet.
Yeah.
And so like uh Dar-Benn is like leading the talks for the Kree, and she's just like, I'd like to we need to settle this because of the fact that Hala, their home planet, is dying. Like we said before, the sun's died, the atmosphere is terrible, they can't breathe, and there's no water because there was a drought. So it's just like at this point, we're willing to negotiate to she'll help them find a new planet or whatever. But we see that this is a ruse,
Hmm.
because Captain Marvel had attacked her ship or whatever, even though that had nothing to do with the scroll. She uses this excuse to end the peace talks and basically open up a rip in space using the bracelet and her hammer,
Yeah.
which is another. I think the Kree guy from Guardians of the Galaxy had a very similar hammer as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, she uses her new powers with the bracelet and the hammer to open up a hole in space to basically absorb the atmosphere from Tarnax.
Hmm.
And I think what's her name? All three of them are there actually.
I think so. They like so. This is where so like it teleports where like Kamala Khan and I'm blanking on the
Monica,
yeah. What, one more time?
Monica.
Monica, yeah. So Kamala Khan and Monica, they like teleport together because they're holding on to one another. We know when I
Yeah,
think there was that fall, and then so then Captain Marvel, Carol, she's on Earth, but then she just makes it to
flies.
Tarnak. Plus, very, very quickly, very, very fast. All right, so maybe there's some
Yeah,
transportation.
so now all three of them are on Tarnax because of the
Yeah.
switching.
Yep.
Um,
Exactly.
I think both Monica and Kamala recognize the bracelet that Dar-Benn has. Like she
Hmm.
puts it on,
Yeah.
and kind of Kamala hides hers, because like she says later, like she knew that there was obviously they came in a pair. She just
Yeah.
didn't expect to find it in space.
It was funny with this. she was hiding it even before she realized it. Like when they were holding their hands up, she was
Yeah.
putting her other hand down and covering the bracelet. And then
Mhm.
you couldn't see the bracelet in that scene. And then she notices the bracelet. And
Mhm.
then
It's
it does it
you.
very much like this. I'm like, nah, you've been hiding it this whole time. So that's just editing, but like I just noticed that little thing and I was like, huh, okay, fair.
Mhm.
So quick
But yeah,
question,
so yeah.
just with that. So the bracelet though is what gave Kamala her powers, right?
I can't remember because it seems like she's using it without it as well. Like I said, I didn't
Yeah.
watch the show. I just know
Okay.
that in the show, her grandmother sends her the bracelet,
Yeah.
and then she starts getting powers.
Or maybe
But
that's
there's
just
also it's hinted at in that show that she's like a mutant or
yeah.
something like that. They tried to introduce mutants
Okay.
in the Miss Marvel show. So like I said, I didn't watch the show, so I'm not sure if it was the bracelet that maybe activated her powers or
Mhm.
was what gives her powers. I'm not sure
Or like gift
because
of
you
wisdom.
definitely see her when she doesn't have the bracelet, she still has her powers.
That was that was going to be a question I had to because I
Yeah,
remember that later. But yeah, so either way, she's covered the bracelet. Yeah, they're on Tarnak stuff.
yeah. So now they're on Tarnak. Uh, and what's her name? Darben opens a hole in space or whatever, and to suck up the atmosphere from Tarnax
Yeah.
and transport it to her home planet Hala. And while this is happening, like the planet is being destroyed. So like the Skrulls are initially mad at the Annihilator, Captain
Mhm.
Marvel, who's like, "We didn't need your help because well, obviously your interference with this is why
Mhm.
the peace talks were ceased or
Yeah.
whatever." So, but she kind of ignores that, and just the three of them try to help get people off the planet
Yeah.
before it's destroyed. And this is where we see, and I think this is what it could have been interesting, but they didn't lean into it. But it was like at some point, like because they can't use their powers,
Hmm.
or they'll keep switching, so they can't really help. And so like Captain Marvel tells Kamala to like don't use her powers, just stay on the ship. I'll do whatever. But Kamala can't help herself, so like she
Hmm.
goes to try to help people. And it causes an interference. Like they switch at one point, but then they switch back, and then as they get as many people as they can on the ships, Kamala's like, no, we can't just leave these people here. And this is what Carol's like, we have to save who we can.
Yep.
Like that's like sometimes you can't save them all. And it was like this look on uh Kamala's face where she's just like her hero isn't as heroic as she thinks because
Yeah.
but it's also this very naive understanding as a young superhero that you can save everybody. I
Hmm.
think we saw that in Across the Spider-Verse or whatever. It's just this idea of like if I have these powers, I can do it all.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of superhero stories are telling you that you just can't. Like the desire to is like what makes you a hero, but
Hmm.
at the end of the day, like sometimes you just can't save everyone.
Yeah. And a perk is luckily it's just the scroll, so who really cares?
Right.
Like,
We're not in a civil war.
I'm
I
just
mean,
saying.
granted, if we saw Secret Invasion, we
That's what
should
I'm
be beat
saying.
to a
I've
belt.
read Secret Invasion. Fuck the scroll. All right, so like I don't care about the scroll at all.
God, the xenophobia is just unnecessary.
Those are like I've only and again I haven't read that many Marvel comics and like I just read like the
Mhm.
one big main collection of Secret Invasion, not all the sub comic plots. But I only know the scroll is dicks, so I don't really
Yeah.
care. So like,
That's what was funny in the because I didn't watch all of the Secret Invasion show, but the parts that I did watch, it was very much them like trying to basically kill everybody on our planet so it could be theirs. And
yeah,
then they're like, why doesn't anybody want to house us?
we're refugees in the galaxy. Fuck you, man.
Because they're basically parasites to a host every
Yeah,
planet they go to, and then they're wondering why does this keep happening to us?
exactly. No, I don't care.
But yeah, so they're able to save who they can. They escape to
They save like
a
20
bunch of.
scroll. They save literally like 20 scroll.
There's a few ships that escape.
Yeah.
Um, and then so when they're on on back on Captain Marvel's ship with whoever they were able to save those scrolls, um, she apologizes because like it's one of the, I think you do see this kind of like it's her redemption. She realizes that a lot of this stuff happened after she destroyed the Supreme Intelligence.
Yeah.
So it is her trying to make up for that.
Hmm.
And so like the leader of the scroll, I think his name was like Droog or something like that. It was brief, so that's why I
Yeah.
didn't say his name
Emperor
in
or
the cast.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but like he kind of blames her, but she's like, I mean, I have a place for you guys to go. And
Hmm.
this was leaked a little bit before the movie came out, but it was just like we get a cameo from Valkyrie from
Yeah.
Thor,
Hmm.
and
So
she takes yeah go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna with that. Are Valkyrie and Captain Marvel close like that? Have we seen anything of them
No,
interacting
that's
like that? Okay, because
from what I've yeah, no, not at all. It's
yeah,
like that's what the problem with a lot of the MCU when it comes to like relationships. It's
hmm
all off screen, but it was like, no, you need to show. You can't. It's one of those things in film. You can't exposit
yeah.
important stuff to me. Like I need to see it,
That was a
or
very
like, or else it's like it doesn't stick.
yeah. Because that was a very emotional hug of she be like, "Oh, thank God you're here, my bestest friend. I've missed you so." And I'm like,
I was like, this is the first time on screen with this woman
yeah,
outside of Endgame,
yeah,
like the whole girl power thing
yeah,
in
100%.
Endgame.
And it's cool, but yeah, it just when I saw that, I was like, okay, I didn't know they knew each other like that or at
That's
all.
what, yeah, that's what I was like. Even I feel like a lot of people were like, "Yo, how you get this number?" Like, what's
Yeah, exactly. Who is this?
but yeah, so Valkyrie arrives and she takes the Skrull refugees to New Asgard,
hmm
um, and that's that. I think, and then this is where we get. I think the three of them are
Wait,
the Marvels now.
sorry,
Yeah,
one more
go ahead.
question. Do the Asgardians know the Skrull suck? Just a curiosity that they're going to try to like take
I mean,
over.
I would assume because they are cosmic beings, so I feel
Okay,
like they're more. See, Earth, we don't know. Okay, we just learned about aliens like a smooth 3 years ago, and
because
our first introduction to aliens, we got blips. So like, we have a we
Captain
got a
Marvel's about to be like the Annihilator 2.0 because she introduced the Skrull to the Asgardians, and now all the Asgardians are Skrull. All right, because like yeah,
But yeah, so after the Valkyrie takes the Skrull refugees to New Asgard, we get scenes with the three Marvels now. So like first, Captain Marvel apologizes to Kamala for like talking to her like that, which is weird. But I was like I said, I think it could have been a very important
hmm
lesson from the hero side about like yeah, well, you can't say them all. It's like, yeah, it's or like, yeah, I'm your hero, but she said, oh, don't be like me and like certain things like that. It is
yeah.
kind of breaking down this facade of like don't meet your heroes or like I'm human too,
hmm
things like that. But they really didn't lean into it, so that was kind of upsetting.
Yeah, it was like
And
okay,
then
yeah, with all of
and
that.
then we get a scene with which, like I said, this is what I was talking about the manufactured tension because
hmm
there was that moment with between Kamala and Captain Marvel,
hmm
and then Monica's is like because like I said, they haven't talked either, and she goes, you never came back," and I'm like, "Really? That's what we're doing?"
Yeah, right.
She was like, "That little girl was like, expect you to come back." I was like, "You're a grown ass woman.
Yeah, like
How are you still holding this?" And you're in your own right a superhero as well. So how do you not understand the
hmm
dynamic complexities of like the responsibility that you had
yeah.
as a superhero? Like
But
that
I
you
mean,
can't keep every fucking promise. Like what are we doing here? Like
but at the same time, Captain Marvel can go from Earth to Tarkanath in like 10 seconds. So
yeah,
like
no, she does fast travel like fucking Game of Thrones season 6. Like
you could just bip over there really quick, be like, "Hey, what's up?" Bip.
fair enough. I forgot about that she had the fast pass, the universal fast pass for the year. You're right.
Moves go.
But yeah, so it was like there's to me it was like manufactured tension between them about like why she didn't come back
Agreed.
or whatever. And then this is where we get a cool little montage of them like they're figuring out the how to the switching the quantum entanglement so that they don't get bested when they're fighting, going forward.
Yeah.
which
Which
which was cool. But I also thought it was okay. Yeah, this switching thing was cute, but it gets annoying. So let's
yeah.
let's figure it out.
And also like the switch. Well, I will say just from which was a cool montage. I liked it. But then I'm like, so wait. So how when you teleport are you already in your jumping rope position? If you're doing here, how do you teleport like this already jumping?
It's they're letting science. It was like one of those. Then
Yeah.
I think maybe I'm just not that type of person.
hmm
But it was just like they kind of just shut up and have fun with it
Yeah.
in certain movies. It's like no, 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 no. Because I'm asking too many questions because you're opening Pandora's box
Yeah.
and then be like, all right, get out of here, get out of here. I'm like, no.
Every time I had a question like that, Rise was like, "Get back in the box. You don't
He's like,
ask."
are you not having fun? Are you not entertained? And I was like, I mean, I was.
Exactly. Yep.
But yeah, so it's a cool montage of them figuring out how to best utilize the switching, the quantum entanglement as they're
hmm
fighting. I think we also get a call, and this is we were talking about side plots and stuff like that that really did not matter.
hmm
It was like for some reason padding this movie when you could have done so much more. But
Yeah.
it was like so after cleaning up the Khan household. Nick Fury takes her family to the Saber base for some fucking reason.
Yeah,
And
right.
as I saw it, I was just like, oh, liability. Boom, there we go.
Yeah.
There's no other reason. There's no other fucking reason. But yeah, so Nick Fury takes the Khan family to the Saber base, so now they're up there with him. We get a call from her family, like Kamala talks to her family, and they're like, "You need to, let them handle it or whatever, because you're too young, like you don't know what you're doing."
Yeah, you need to come home. You need to like figure like this is not you. This is like, and the reason why I am going to emphasize this now is because like the turn later. But she's just like, yeah, this is like her mom's like, no, you get out of there. You need to come home right now. Blah 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 blah. Like that's not supposed to be you out there right now. And you're
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, she's a superhero, and like this is kind of goes in, and I get it. She's a teenager, but and your
Yeah.
parents, but like,
But
okay,
it also, I mean, at least Monica and Carol did make sense. It was just like, we need her here if we keep switching. So I was like, yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, it was a
problem
very
solved.
easy solution. Yeah, for there of like why they need to. But yeah, so just
And
keep
then it was
them.
like, no, what pissed me off, and I guess it's sometimes like, I mean, I guess trying to get them to speak in their natural language. Do you know what the language was that they were using?
I'm not 100% sure. I did kind of assume that it may have been Hindi or something, but I didn't really recognize.
Okay, no, that's what I was saying. I
Yeah,
thought maybe since you're learning it.
yeah,
Um,
there might have been. Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I did like really. Yeah, because yeah, I'm pretty sure it should have been Hindi. Because yeah. Anyway, we don't need to get super into it. But
but anyway, no, it was just funny because it's like I get having that representation in the film, like them speaking a native tongue. But it was like she threatens Carol in her native language and then
yeah,
goes back to speaking English. And then she goes, "You tell her I said," and I was like, "Why don't you just say it?"
yeah,
It
exactly.
was the weirdest shit. She was like, she said in her language, "Tell her I'll kill her," and
Yeah,
she was like, "You tell her that," and it was like, "Why didn't you just say it? It would be more threatening from the mom
yeah.
than this little girl who's fangirling out over Captain Marvel."
Yeah, Duolingo doesn't really tell you how to say "I will kill you," but it does say like "meh something hai," and she did kind of say that. So I'm going to say I think it was Hindi because "meh" is
But anyway, so
high.
once again, manufactured tension for no reason. But we
Yeah,
get her family with Saber and Nick Fury,
hmm
the three Marvels together. They're trying to like Kama has this running gag where like she's trying to figure out Monica Rambeau's code name
hmm
because they have code names and she doesn't. And she doesn't really care.
yeah,
But she calls themselves the Marvels or whatever. And then they're trying to figure out, I think, where Darvin's plan and where she's going next. So this is where they go back to use um, the memory scanning device that Carol was using in the beginning when we meet her in this film. And so all three of them have them on, and they're kind of linking their memories because Kamala had mentioned that there was like maps in the room that they were in when they first met Darvin. So they go back and they kind of trace to where she's going, but as they're tracing their memories, we see that Carol is jumping into Monica's memories of her mother and like what happened
yeah,
before and after she got blipped.
hmm
Because, like we said earlier, Carol has been trying to figure out her past for the past I don't know how long.
yeah,
Since we've seen her on film in the MCU, she's been trying to figure out her past. So now linking with someone who is connected to her past, she's able to kind of open it up a little bit broader.
hmm
And Monica doesn't want to go through that memory because like she got blipped sitting next to her mother in the hospital because her mother had cancer. Then 5 years later, when she blips back, her mother has already passed away.
yeah,
So like she didn't want to deal with that memory again. But kind of Carol kind of forced it.
hmm
Um, and so we get but after all that, we do see that now they know where to go.
yeah,
It's Aladna because like we said, Darvin stole the atmosphere from Tarnax. Now she needs water, and Aladna is well, she said 99.3% water or something like
hmm
that. And one of them goes, "That's a very specific number. Like, how do you know that?" And then so they go to Aladna or whatever, and then this is where we find out that Carol Danvers is basically a princess to these people. Like
yeah,
she fostered some treaty, and then I ended up marrying the prince
hmm
at the end. It was like, she said it's a technicality only. Like she's like free to go around or whatever, but it was just like to foster the peace treaty or whatever. And this is where we find out that Aladna is a Disney planet basically,
yep.
because their their language is singing,
They speak
and
in
so like
song.
they speak in song. So we get this introduction of them singing to Captain Marvel and like the two women that are with her, And it was just like this when I realized, bro, I'm Disney that I couldn't do it. Like
Yeah.
this was mad annoying to me. And you know it was annoying to the film because they cut that shit out immediately.
As
Like
soon as they
it was
could.
a cute little number. And it
Yeah.
was like because they went to a planet of all singing, which meant that so now we can only sing. And then when she dances with the prince or whatever, and then she's like, I need to talk to you in I guess in English instead of
Yeah.
in song. And Monica goes, "Oh, he can understand." She's like, "Oh yeah, he's bilingual." I was like, "Oh, shut the fuck up!
I know,
You're
right?
just trying to find a way to get it. You wrote yourself into this singing bullshit, and then like didn't want to continue it.
Yeah.
So like, couldn't figure out a way to back that shit up. That shit. I mean, once again, it was cute, but it was annoying. So I was kind of glad that they did it. And then I
Yeah.
got mad. It was like, no, don't make it seem like, oh yeah, he's bilingual. Like, so we can talk regular now. Like, shut the fuck up. Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, it was cute, but it was just kind of like, okay, a fun little reprieve from everything, I
Yeah,
suppose.
but it was ultimately like useless. It was like
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, 100%.
But sorry. So yeah, so they warn the prince, Prince John, that Darben's coming to steal their water. So like their goal is to get the bracelet
Mhm.
off of her because they realize that's where she's getting her power. And so Darben attacks. The Marvels hide initially, and then they kind of break out to try to sneak attack Darben, but it doesn't work. But we get this another cool fight scene between them, like at least Captain Marvel and Monica Rambeau
Mhm.
fighting Darben because they're trying to keep Miss Marvel away from Darben because she has the other bracelet
Yeah.
or whatever. But then stupidly, even though they practice all the switching,
Mhm.
Kamala switches with Captain Marvel while she's fighting Darben, and
Yeah.
Darben recognizes the bracelet. So she was like, "Oh shit,
Yeah.
where'd you get that? I need that
Yeah,
bracelet
I'm,
now."
I'm gonna need that. Yeah, they just pass
Yeah.
that on over here.
So because of this, now they need to escape. So like they escape from Darben, and this is where you see like another thing I think they were trying to push in this movie. Another thing was like teamwork or whatever. Like
Mhm.
Captain Marvel has been working by herself,
Yeah.
which in the narrative of what we've seen from, and I think she's only been in like maybe three movies or something like that. We haven't seen her be really like the lone warrior type.
Yeah.
So it was like it didn't make sense to me.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Like it's whatever.
Yeah.
But it was just like so she's not trusting her team. So like they're like we need to escape and in a through a jump point or whatever. And Captain Marvel was like, no, I can do this. I can do this type of thing.
Yeah.
So we see kind of her resistance to accepting help. There was something I said earlier, and I think Valkyrie said this to her, to Captain Marvel, and she says you can stand tall without standing alone. So once
Mhm.
again, it is this, but once again, it's them telling us that she's a lone wolf and
Yeah.
us never seeing it.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't land as well.
Yeah, because you just kind of
Um,
see. I mean, you get that, like, she's been floating in space. All she's had is Goose out in space because you see
mm.
like that in the very beginning. But yeah, it's a lot of that, and then yeah. So no, I agree with what you're saying there. And then, but luckily Valkyrie, her closest, longest friend, told her this, and so it worked out okay.
I mean, they've known each other since middle school, clearly. But yeah, so they're able to escape Darben, and at the same time, we see the B plot or whatever.
Yeah.
These random eggs start appearing on the Saber ship, and they
Hmm.
don't know what they are
Yeah.
or whatever. And then it turns out one of them hatches, and it's just a baby flirkin. So there's just a bunch of kittens.
Bunch of gooses.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, a bunch of gooses running around in the
Yeah.
Saber ship. And at the same time, after Darben steals the water from Aladna,
Yeah.
her next goal is to steal a son. That's what the last thing she needs.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's this. There's a quick going back, but like after she stole the atmosphere from Tarnax, she goes back to her planet, and you see everybody wearing like respirators and stuff
Hmm.
like that because they can't breathe here. And she tells them, take the mask off and breathe because she's the one bringing back Hala to the people.
Yeah.
And so, sorry, are you gonna say something?
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah. So I mean, it was with Aladna, and like with that, you see that, and you're like, I guess Aladna's just dead because like around that same time,
It's very much like what are the consequences here? Like,
like we saw what happened to the Skrull world when that happened. And granted, she took the atmosphere and not the water. Granted, how do these portals know to only grab water and not atmosphere?
I don't. The science just sciences.
Yeah,
I assume.
but yeah, so I'm like, well,
But
Aladdin.
yes. So now the last thing she needs is the sun, and she's going to steal. So also, what Carol realizes is that she's stealing resources from places that matter to
Yeah.
Carol or
So,
whatever.
so the Skrull planet mattered to Carol.
I think it was more the being that she was incremental in the incremental. What's the word?
Instrumental.
Instrumental. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
She was instrumental in the peace treaty between them. I think that's what it was.
Mm.
Because remember, they used the fact that Darben says you sicked the Annihilator on us while we were doing these peace talks.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it was. It was like having the Squirrel lose faith in Captain Marvel. I think
Gotcha.
that's possibly what it was. So
Gotcha.
maybe not the planet per se. It's
Mhm.
just like these the alliances that she had with the Squirrel.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I'm just once again I'm
So
spitballing.
you're saying Captain Marvel had alliances with the enemy is kind of what
Wow,
you got
wow,
from
they didn't kill your father. Like it's not the Lannisters. Relax. I don't care what nobody says. I still got beef with the Lannisters, except for Jamie. Jamie's cool, and Tyrion. Everybody else, it's the North remembers all day, baby. But what was I saying? What was I saying? Oh yeah, so she's trying to steal the sun, Earth's sun,
Hmm.
or whatever. So now they go to try to stop her. But first they need to go. I guess save the Saber station or whatever because like
Yeah.
there was like a power surge that knocked out all the power. So now I think it's only like 300 people or something. She said like 350 people
I
on
think
the
yeah,
on
350. I think is what
so
they said.
there's only a certain amount of escape pods, but they need to get everybody off of Saber.
Yeah.
So they use the Flurkins because of the fact that the tentacles basically there's just like nothing but empty space
Hmm.
in their stomachs. So I think this was a very funny scene
This
of
was
like
great. Yeah.
initially they were trying to like save you saw like the Marvels trying to save the staff from
Mhm.
being eaten by the Flurkins, and then like what's his name, Nick Fury was like no, let it happen.
Yeah.
So even on the intercom you get a woman saying let them eat you.
Let them eat you as all
So
like
you see like Kamala
yeah.
trapping people so they can get eaten. It was a very very funny
Oh
scene
yeah, this was a
and
great scene. 100% this scene. Oop, light, there we go. The sun's coming into my house now, so my camera kind of messed up on your end? Sorry.
it is, yes.
Okay, cool. Anyway, so really cool scene. Anyway, really cool scene of what was going on of just slow motion music. There we go. Slow motion music just coming in and like people running away terrified as the cats just eat them every single time. Very funny. Yeah, that was awesome.
It was very funny. But then like so we get a sweet moment between as everybody's escaping, we get a sweet moment between the Khan family that just showing belief. And I think that even in the show, I assume once they found out her identity, they were very positive and very supportive of her being a superhero. So like,
Mhm.
but we get another speech from like her mom, her dad, and her brother about he goes her brother says the most brother thing I've ever heard. It was like, but please don't die. I don't want to be a single child with them again.
Yeah, yeah.
What?
Which
Yeah.
I liked that, and it was very nice. But then I was just like, did not getting eaten by a cat, tell you that like yes, your daughter needs to go out and do this because like literally like not a lot of movie time has passed when they're just like you need to come home, get back here, and then all of a sudden like it was a good thing, but I didn't see why did they have that character growth all of a sudden because
Yeah.
I guess
Like, yeah,
because
wouldn't have them.
yeah, I guess it's because they helped out to like that. Also, I thought it was funny. Like, why did her parents not get eaten by the cats? Like everyone else got eaten by the cats besides Nick Fury and the Marvels. Why did her family not get eaten too? But that way they got more screen time. Yeah.
Yeah. So Saber Station is disabled. Everybody is able to escape in escape pods using the Flurkins. And then we get the Marvels realizing that they need to stop Darben from stealing
Mhm.
the sun. So they go. I think they sneak up on her. They're able. No, so first she she opens a portal for them to for the sun to be stolen,
Mhm.
and then they infiltrate her ship and they're able to sneak up on her to get the bracelet or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, and then like she gets impaled by something because this is another cool fight scene with the three of them kind of switching and fighting her.
Mhm.
And I agree with you. It was just like how is she able to hold up against three
Yeah.
superpowered beings? Like what is her power set type of
Mhm.
thing?
I mean, the bracelet did allow her to absorb.
Absorb, yeah, the light, yeah, power.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we get a cool fight scene with the three Marvels working together to fight Darben. They're able to get the bracelet off her, and actually, or were they?
No.
I
So
think
what
maybe no,
happened
no,
is,
sorry, that's a lie. They were not. So
yeah.
like they're able to. What happens is Darvin gets knocked back, and
Mhm.
impaled by something.
Yeah.
And as she's about to die, like uh, Captain Marvel's like, look, we don't need to do this. Monica mentions that Captain Marvel should be able, with her power, should be able to reignite their sun, so
Mhm.
she doesn't need to steal the one from Earth. And then she says for Hala or whatever to as kind of like a peace offering to Darben. And as she goes to lift the boulder that's impaling her
Yeah.
off of Darben, Darben grabs her hammer, like using I assume the Force.
Nope. 100%.
Um,
It's a part of her
yeah,
power.
so she
Yeah.
it happens so quickly. So it's
Yeah.
like she uses the Force to grab her hammer and Kamala Khan,
Yeah.
and she like basically traps Kamala's head under the hammer, and she's like, I'll kill her before you even are able to do anything to
Yeah.
Captain Marvel." So she basically tricked her. She takes the second bracelet off of Kamala, puts it on, and then like uses that to open up the portal even more.
Hmm.
But in doing so, because of the two bracelets are too powerful, like she starts to disintegrate.
Yeah. She like
So
gets
she just
disintegrated
she
immediately.
solved our problem, I guess.
Yeah, I know, right? She's
So,
like, and the hero or the villain killed themselves. Easy peasy. All right, we're good. Yeah.
but because of that, now there's a hole in space and time,
Yeah.
and so this is I feel like we talked about the science of like people using science rapidly
Yeah.
and it being sometimes it working, other times it's just like, oh, sounds like a bunch of yada yada.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Basically, it was
Monica's
shoot me
like,
with your lasers. Shoot
yeah,
me with your lasers, and I'll figure it out from here.
Monica was like, yeah, I like if you guys now that we have both of the both of the
Bracelets, bangles.
bracelets
Yeah.
and we have Captain Marvel's power, if like they shoot the light into uh Monica, who was able to absorb the light, if they
Mhm.
power her up enough, she'll be able to use her powers to close the whatever the hole in space. And
Cool.
it was like, yeah, sure, I got.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
I
All right.
mean, we yada through the quantum entanglement because it was like even all right. Not even going back, but my question is, why were only the three of them switching if Darben had a bracelet as well?
Mm. Yeah. Because I think. All right, I'm going to
We don't
defend.
have to get into it. It's just
No, no, no. We're going to
it's
do it. All right.
historical.
So this is why the reason why is because even when Kamala didn't have her bracelet, she was still able to use her light power. Of turning light into physical matter, substance, or whatever.
Oh, so it was the powers and not the bracelet.
I guess she did have some powers that weren't just the bracelet. I don't know how the bracelet interacts with that, but also at the same time, the only reason she did get linked was because of the bracelet in general. So it doesn't really make
Mm-hmm.
sense. So,
Got it. Anywho, so yeah, they
I mentioned let's have
basically
fun with it.
Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel charge up Monica Rambeau. She
Mhm.
becomes like all this white light. I feel like her name is like Photon or something like that. I feel like I recognize
Okay.
that form from the comic books.
Yeah.
But I didn't like I said I didn't look into it. But anyway, so she goes to the other side of the anomaly and pulls the pieces of the hole together to close it up.
Yep.
But in doing so, she's basically like trapping herself on the other side. And so Captain Marvel tries to go and bring her back before it's fully closed, but she's not able to.
Hmm.
So then they return to Earth to Nick Fury, and no, actually no, Kamala returns to Earth
Yeah.
in the ship to tell Nick Fury that they lost Monica, and he was like, where's Carol? And Kamala goes, she's fulfilling a promise. So Captain Marvel flies to Hala and uses her power to reignite their sun, because that's what she promised that she would do to Darben. And so at the end of the movie, we see that um, Saber is being, I guess, like rebuilt or whatever after the shutdown. We see
Hmm.
that Carol, sorry, has moved into the Rambeau house, and she's getting help from the Khan family or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I think the movie.
Oh, shit. So that was
Oh,
Carol who was
sorry.
moving in. Okay, I was so confused because I thought like the Khans moved there, and I was like, why the fuck did they move the Khans to
No.
Louisiana?
So that's Monica's house from the first one.
Yes. Yes, I knew
Yeah.
that was Monica's house. I literally thought Shield was like, "Oh crap, yeah, sorry, your house got destroyed. Here, leave Jersey City and go to Louisiana." And I'm like, "That's a dick move. Just fix my
Oh
house."
yeah, no, it's Kyle moving in, but
Got you. That makes a
uh,
lot more sense.
so yeah, so that's where we see the Carol's in Louisiana now. Saber's being rebuilt. Kamala goes and very reminiscent of like the cut scenes or mid credit scenes from the first Avengers
Mhm.
movies. She goes to recruit Kate Bishop, who is like the new Hawkeye
Yeah,
from the Hawkeye show. Um, and then like the credits come on, like so that's where we see we're building the movie, and then like in the mid credits we see that Monica wakes up in like a hospital bed,
yeah,
and she wakes up and she sees her mother, or who she believes is her mother, and so she's like freaking out because um she obviously she hasn't her mother died before she was while she was blipped, so she hasn't seen her mother in years,
hmm
so she's kind of freaking out as to like I miss you so much, and like the woman that she believes is her mother is like I don't
yeah.
who are you, like
Fuck are
what
you
who do you think I
doing?
am?
Yeah,
And then we get one of the dopest cameos in a MCU mid credits. We get Beast played
beast.
by Kelsey Grammer.
That was pretty hype. Yeah, that was pretty hype.
Yeah, he was like, he was saying, "Oh, you're awake," and he believes that she's from a different universe or whatever.
Yeah,
And he
a
said that
parallel
Charles will
reality, a
say it
parallel
again.
universe. You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And then he says that Charles will want to know the updates or whatever. And then like we get Maria Rambeau or whatever,
Mhm.
Monica's mom, she kind of stands up and she says, who are you?"
Yeah,
To and then she kind of stands there in this outfit, and it was like, since I'm not a comic book dude,
yeah.
I feel like it was one of those things where like they were expecting, and maybe it did happen
Mhm.
in the movie theaters where people were like, woo, like who, like excited to see whoever this was. I think her name is like Binary or something like that. My brother was
Got
telling
you. Well, I'm assuming that was. I mean, I wasn't fully sure, but I was assuming that was just like if she had gotten the powers instead of Carol.
me. Also, she does in the comic books. They both do.
Oh,
Like her mom becomes Captain Marvel at some point in certain iterations.
got you.
But
Okay.
it was just so funny to me. It was like she stands up real tall in this like outfit that I assume is recognizable to someone.
Yeah.
I assume like I said, I assume they were expecting people to cheer, and
Yeah.
I was just in the movie. I'm like, who the fuck is this
Yeah.
asshole?
I thought it was an alternate Captain Marvel costume. And then it was just like, yeah, she got the. Because earlier in the movie, she says, "Oh," to like in the memory, "Oh," to Maria's like, "Oh, you should have gotten the powers instead of me, or I should have
Oh
let her
yeah,
beat you in that
yeah,
race." So when that happened, I was like, "Okay, so in this parallel universe, she did lose to her in the race, so she got the powers instead." That was my
mm,
thought of what the hell was going on.
got it.
Yeah,
But then yeah, so then Monica realizes she's not in her universe, and she goes shit, and then
yeah.
the
Okay.
credits end,
What did you?
and that's the end
So
of the movie.
that's the end of the movie. What did you think of I guess Kamala creating a team. So I guess it's gonna be like the Young Avengers or something.
I didn't like her leading it, or like her being the one.
No, she
I
just wanted
think
to try and be
if
it.
it was if it, honestly if it was Kate Bishop, because I think the fans really enjoyed that show, really liked her character. I
Mhm.
think if it was her doing it, it would have been different. But if we're gonna have Kamala lead it, I think it's gonna be, and this is no disrespect to Iman Vellani, but I feel like it's gonna be one of those things where like people love her, like her as the actual actress.
Mhm.
It's like the Paul Rudd effect, right?
Yeah,
You love the actor, so you tolerate the
yeah.
character.
Because like
So I'm getting those vibes from Kamala Khan, because like I said, I think it would have been fine because obviously they're trying to gear up the Young Avengers,
mhm.
because they introduced like you have the new Hawkeye, new Ant Man, new Black Panther, obviously the younger Miss Marvel. They introduced fucking Hulk's son at some point in
Okay.
the She-Hulk show. So like they do have the younger generation for
Yeah.
several of these of these of our legendary heroes. But yeah, I mean, I just don't see. And also, it's weird because Nick Fury still exists. So I feel like he could be doing it.
No, we need Nick Fury's son. Get Nick Fury's son in here, or
It
daughter,
was
whatever.
interesting
Yeah.
in the what's it in the Captain America, the no, Falcon and Winter Soldier show. You do have a another woman like creating a team. I don't know if that's a Thunderbolts or something like that, but it was like so you have different people just creating teams. It's just like maybe let's stop recruiting. Let's
Yeah.
relax.
There's a lot of heroes. They got a lot of teams. Yeah. But cool. That is the Marvels. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. We appreciate it. Mike, is there? I guess let's revisit our original rankings. You gave it a 2.5 out of 5. Are you sticking with it?
Yes, I feel like yeah, there were scenes that like really stuck out to me. Um, like the comedic scene. I didn't find like when they were trying to be funny, it really working, but like the comedic scene of the Firkins and
Yeah,
Saber was just like no words, but it was just great, right? I really, like I said, I enjoyed the when the switching, once you cut off your brain to the science of the switching, and it was like, especially in the 3 different locations, I thought that was really cool. Even them fighting Darben, I feel like it could have been longer, but whatever, I'll take
yeah,
it. I did enjoy when they leaned into the interesting concept of the switching.
for sure.
Um, but yeah, so yeah, 2.5. I'll stick with that.
Cool.
Like I
Yeah,
said, it was a lot better. It was a lot better than I thought it would be, and I really hope that people do give it a chance.
yeah.
Um,
Agreed. Yeah, I'm sticking with my 2.5 as well. And yeah, really, the standouts for me that were legitimately great was the first huge fight where they were switching and you saw Kamala sliding all over the place using her powers, Captain Marvel. Like that was a really cool scene that I really liked. That first big fight was awesome of them switching and not really knowing what the hell's going on. And then the Flirkins was hysterical and great. And those were two big, like 5 to 10 minute segments, I think, of the movie. So like I left the theater being like, that was great. The rest of the movie was kind of like, like here and there, some up, some down. It was all good, but still, like 2.5 out of 5. Remember, everyone, 2.5 out of 5 for us is not a bad movie. Like if you get a 2.5 out of 5 on a test, yeah, you got a 50% that's bad. But for us, that says, hey, this was a movie that was entertaining. Were there flaws? Yes, there were flaws, but it doesn't mean it's not worth seeing. So yeah, so 2.5 out of 5 for both of us. Go check out the movie. We do need to support, movie theaters and make sure everything's happening. So, have Martin Scorsese thank you or have someone thank you in person like they've done for me, So,
they did not thank me with this one. I was upset.
no, I know, right? I'm like, come on, Brie Larson. Like, come on. I'm the
I
hero.
was like, I'm one of 6 people in this theater. Can you at least an applause of some sort?
Yeah, man. I saw like the 3:30 showing, I think it was, and it was like, I think there were 8 people, but it was all like 8 individual people. So it was like no one was sitting next to each other. We're all
Scattered.
it's a Thursday at 3:30. Everyone's like, you should be at your job. No, that's movies. There we go.
I did see, so like I did check it out because I was curious how it was going to react. So I went to see it Thursday as well at the 5:30 showing.
Okay, yeah,
But I did see like the later, like the maybe 7, 8. But it was, once again, it's also Thursday. I didn't check. I
yeah,
should have checked out Friday.
but
Um, but I did see the later showings around like 7, 8, and 10.
mhm.
It were a
Oh,
lot
good,
more seats. Now it wasn't full. I
yeah,
didn't see any.
fair,
None of them were ever full. I think the most at most it seemed like the 10 o'clock, either the 8:30 or the 10 o'clock showing had about like 30 people
hmm
or something like that.
gotcha.
But we'll see.
Yeah, but great. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. We are the Two Meddling Kids. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us at Two Meddling Kids on Twitter and Instagram, or you can email us at twomeddlingkids@gmail.com. Mike, how can they reach out to you?
On Instagram at Days from Legendary.
Perfect. And if you'd like to reach out to me, I am at EdHunt77 on Twitter and Instagram, and my comic handle is hunt.comics on Instagram. Remember, Global Comics, check it out. Until next time, everybody, we'll be back next week with a brand new movie. See ya.
Bye.